Hi, this is Shira Rubinoff. I'm back with Digital Hands. I am here with Charlotte Baker, Chief Executive Officer, Jason Allen, Chief Technology Officer, and Dwayne Alford, Vice President, Security Operations. It's a pleasure to be with you all here today, and I'm very excited about our conversation that we're going to have from a business perspective, a technological perspective, operations perspective, and how things work hand in hand within organizations. So when we talk about the cybersecurity industry from the business, operations, and technical vantage point, they're often looked at from a siloed perspective. Everybody's incentivized to do their own job, having things go the way that they are told to do within their job outline. So I'll start with you, Dwayne. When you're dealing with the things that you have to deal with within your organization as operations, business as usual, let's get things moving. How do you look at dealing with or working hand in hand with maybe a CISO or the CTO from your organization when you have to work hand in hand with Jason and Jason sees something that's coming down the pikes, but you both have the different job sets that you both have to do and you both have to be responsible for?
Yeah, great question. I'm a big believer, and I think Peter Drucker said this, that strategy eats tactic for breakfast, right? So having a very aligned strategy with everybody moving in the same direction makes that a lot easier. So when we have some sort of security activity or something in operations that's got to move the business forward, it's got to move fast, making sure that aligns to the business. So Charlotte understands it, Jason understands it, our CIO understands it, and everybody moves in the same direction. It's pretty easy.
That's great. And Jason, you're looking at it from a security perspective and you see, well, we have to do a patch. We gotta deal with this right now. But and everybody's maybe incentivized as the business does better, we all do better. I don't want to slow things down. We have this meeting coming up, something's going on, and I have to report back to Charlotte, make sure I'm making sure the numbers are being hit. But I'm worried about this security piece here. But is it worthy enough of a security patch? How do you look at that from a business perspective and decide how and when you need to bring that up and insist that this needs to be looked at, but also from a business point, how do you move that forward within the business and get everybody on board to look at it from your points?
Yeah, I'll first by saying, the relationship between Dwayne and myself is extremely tight. I mean, we're basically connected at the hip. We want to move the business in the same direction, and we want to provide the best possible service we can to all of our customers. So he and I are talking constantly, even on the weekends. We're texting back and forth about the things that are going on. So that actually makes my job a lot easier because Dwayne and I tend to see things through the same lens. We tend to be very aligned on the approaches and how we prioritize things, especially when it comes to technology and the role technology plays in the organization and the services that we provide to customers. We're both big believers that the automation and automatic data analysis is really where things are going in the future. So a lot of things that we talk about, we brainstorm when Dwayne's in town is, how can we accelerate this notion that we have of SOC of the future? How can we rely on the machine to make decisions? The machine is good at making decisions and then how do we save the cognitive brain power of our analysts to really, solve the hard problems, to work on the things that humans are good at working on?
That makes a lot of sense. And certainly an organization is only as strong as the captain who steers the ship. So Charlotte, you certainly had this perspective of how you wanted to steer your ship and bring everyone in as a whole and your hiring capabilities and also the way you wanted the company to run. So I'd love to turn it over to you from the business perspective as CEO, the person who started the company and had the vision to really understand that the digital transformation across the organization as pertaining to the way that businesses are looked at and the security itself is quite a challenge and not easy to actually implement. And I hats off to you that obviously hearing from two key people within your organization and how they're relating to each other, but also to the business as a whole is a big achievement. So can you talk to that point about your vision and your perspective and how you came to this realization and it really implemented it from the ground up early on in the growth of Digital Hands?
Well, it just makes my heart sing when I hear these two talking, and they are very close. They are joined at the hip, and I think even beyond the two of them, all of our teams are very close, and hiring is the key, from the very beginning, and it's hiring people that are mission focused and believe in the why. Why do we exist? And in this particular circumstance, we interview as teams, and so no manager really just says, I'm going to hire this person and we're done, and especially at the leadership levels. And so, we've been accused of having the interview process from hell. It is a lengthy process. It is an important process in which we really are looking at the ability to work as a team. There are often conflicts, getting a service design out the door and ready for general availability versus screening things on a compliancy basis, or how to allocate labor, or when to predict that we're going to have automations. And so we do get together quite often to solve those problems. Besides the hiring side of things, I think culturally, the one of the things here that really works for us is the intellectual curiosity for figuring things out and solving a puzzle. From the very beginning, we had a room called the What Works room, and it's where we take off our functional hats, go in as peers, and talk about the problem, the issue, where we want to go, or how we want to solve a problem for a customer. And we try to figure out what works. And the goal in those sessions are really to spark the intellectual curiosity, figure out the puzzle, and have a hypothesis about what works, and either prove it or disprove it, and not have any emotional attachment to that. And that system of hiring people that are mission focused without the silo mentality, maximizing their own silo, and the intellectual curiosity just really has worked for our organization.
Well, I think that's excellent. And I love the fact that you're all involved in the interview process, because as somebody comes in, a candidate comes in, they understand that they're just not catering to that one department head or to that one executive within the company. They really have to be a team player and know how to navigate that and work well as a team, and be able to ebb and flow as whatever is shifted within the organization. There's a lot of different challenges that come with that, obviously, but it seems like you really nailed that down. And it certainly talks to the piece of proper cyber culture within an organization, being that everybody is incentivized and working as a unit. And I love the idea of you going into a room, taking off your functionality hats, but working as peers. You're just working as people, trying to do the better good and hearing your ideas from the different perspectives. And diversity of thought and mind yields better security. And I'd love to come to each of you and ask what you feel your biggest challenges are in maybe the cybersecurity ecosystem, or maybe working within a cybersecurity company that you face in as challenges, maybe in your particular role, whether it being looking outwardly into the ecosystem itself and seeing what's out there, or maybe internally, maybe the struggles that you have in trying to get people on board to hearing ideas and thoughts. So it really could come from any perspective, but really from your role where you sit today. So let's start with you, Jason, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a CTO at different organizations for the better part of a decade at this point, and it's never an easy role to fill in an organization. That said, it's immensely rewarding, right? There's constantly challenges, but if there weren't challenges, it wouldn't bring the type of satisfaction that it brings to me. In terms of Digital Hands, but this applies to other companies I've been at as well. From a CTO perspective, it's always, how can we move faster? How can we deliver more, both to Dwayne's team and to our customers, faster than we are now? And there's always limits to that, but there's always just this burning desire that I have to produce more value more quickly.
Oh, that's great. And Dwayne, how about you?
Yeah, for me in my role, my big job is making sure our customers are taken care of. And I think that the thing that keeps me up the most is knowing, in the back of my mind, knowing for sure what we are doing for our customers are the right things, and we're covering the right things at all times. So we keep a pulse on that all the time. We have an insanely talented group of people that are constantly looking at the services we're providing our customers, the way we provide it, the detections we use, backed up with the technology that Jason gives us to leverage. And, I can confidently say that we do a good job there, but that's the thing that I stay hyper focused on that probably stresses me out the most, is that's just making sure that our product is what we say it is and what our standards are.
That's great. And Charlotte, you wear multiple hats at all times, of course. So this is a very loaded question for you, but I'd love to hear your perspective on that as well.
Yeah, hiring for that intellectual curiosity is a wonderful thing, because figuring out what works and having that tolerance for ambiguity is, it's cultural here. The flip side of that can be a frustration and a downside, is you're absolutely positively intellectually curious about everything. And it's a little bit to Jason's point about the speed. We will see things that we want to develop as a service. Our DNA really is about, service development, fast to market. Our sustainable competitive advantage is about, rapidly assimilating the newest technologies, putting a service wrapper around them and moving to market. And so the appetite, the appetite in the mind and the appetite for proliferating services that matter, that are the latest, can be a distraction. And so, we are, already thinking about, services right now for second quarter of next year. And so having to have the speed, we want it all and we want it now. And you can't do that. You have to, as specialists, you focus on, the controlled release, the minimally viable product, and then version 1, version 2, and so forth. And, sometimes it gets really frustrating in that we can get so amped up about the next service that we're working on that we have to say, wait, let's finish this one first, and then we'll move on to the next. But there are no shortages of great ideas, and our willingness to try things. If we try 5 things and we fail at 4 and we have a great big hit with 1, that's success in our environment. And you can do no wrong except for do nothing. And so we have this group of doers and people that want to quickly get things to market, and we have to really control the releases and that next shiny object, so we're not constantly saying, squirrel.
So as we're talking about different areas from the perspectives of a business perspective, operational perspective, technological perspective, I'd love to hear from each of you on your own areas what you feel the biggest threats are, maybe in the cybersecurity ecosystem, or maybe from the perspective of where you sit in the cybersecurity ecosystem, about the threats that we're facing today, and what you think where we can go with that, or just leave it as a question to the audience. So Dwayne, I'm going to start with you, please.
The biggest threat for me, and from a security operations perspective, and I think this is also probably a big threat across the CISOs and security leaders, is talent. There's a talent shortage. We have the luxury as MSSP a lot of times of getting a lot of people interested in roles, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have the skills to do the role, right? And that's what we're really investing in, is people with the skills and the SOC of the future. Is how we train and how we get people that are, to Charlotte's point, intellectually curious, but they also got to have skills to be able to use a lot of different technologies, a lot of different pivot points, right? Going from one customer to another customer with completely different environments. And then adding on where we're going with our SOC and the automation, things like being able to develop code and understand how code works and runs. All of that's going to be a part of the SOC of the future, which we kind of call the adaptive SOC, right? Where we're going on a SOC that moves in a lot of different directions. So I think that's the biggest threat for us, for me, and for a lot of the leaders in this space.
I can see that. Thank you. And Jason, how about you?
Yeah, at a macro level, I think the biggest threat is just complacency. Either organizations just saying, this problem is too hard, we're not going to be able to protect ourselves against attackers, and just kind of throwing their arms up in the air. Or, maybe it's a situation where, hey, we've passed our PCI audit, so we're good to go. So organizations really thinking through the potential consequences of their security program, thinking through the right talent that they have to need to operate and to run these tools, and also testing their controls, right? So it's one thing to buy a bunch of expensive software and services, but unless you're actually testing those controls you've implemented, how do you know where you really are with things?
Well, that's very interesting. And Charlotte, I'd love to hear the last word from you.
Succinctly, I think it would be the weaponization of AI and the challenge of what the role of the human is in the value process.
That's certainly a very, very hot topic that's in industry today. So I know we'll be seeing a lot of that. Well, thank you all for your valuable time. I know you've shared a lot of very interesting perspectives and great information with our audience. And I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Shira.
Thank you.